Good morning. Welcome to the first episode of a segment that I'm thinking of calling Morning Thoughts. Right? So, this is an opportunity for me to let you know and speak about some thoughts that I have first thing in the morning. And one of the thoughts that I had this morning was the thought about the fact that, in my experience, the best type of Christ followers, the best of them, are the kinds of Christ followers who maintain a discipline, the humble discipline of being aware of just how much of a loser that they are. And please understand that I'm using the word loser in a kind of sarcastic way. You know, people forget that the church is made up of people who are self-acknowledged failures, who identify and have acknowledged the fact that they've fallen so far of the standards of God that they need help in order to be redeemed. They can't redeem themselves. In every possible way that a person can fail, they have acknowledged the fact that they have failed. That's what the church is. And so it's important for people who are gonna call themselves or consider themselves to be Christ followers to always remember that fact and to let that fact humbly guide them regarding how it is that they treat others and how it is that they treat themselves. You know, I think it has to do with the idea of never being surprised by your own sin, never being surprised at how fallen you are. Because as a human being, you're capable of plumbing the depths of evil and of brokenness, of deceit. The best kinds of Christ followers, in my experience, are people who never allow themselves to forget that, and who always remind themselves of the fact that the reason why they have been redeemed by that has to do exclusively with the actions of Christ. That they didn't save themselves, that they are in fact saved and redeemed. And they dedicate their lives every day to living in that humility, to living in that gratitude. Because when people live like that, they're able to avoid being negatively judgmental. And please understand what I mean about being negatively judgmental. You know, being able to judge a situation, including a person, is not an inherently bad thing. It's about being able to help yourself or someone else adjudicate a set of decisions that they've made. You know, so if I, for example, don't exercise for 2 weeks, I'm able to judge, to adjudicate the likelihood that me not exercising is not going to be healthy for me. I'm not judging myself in a negative way. I'm simply adjudicating through the use of knowledge, logic, and about, you know, how it is that people can be healthy, that not exercising is not a good idea. And so when I judge a situation, including the actions of a person from that perspective, it's about being able to correct myself. It's about helping that person to realize a way of living, or a way of thinking, or a way of believing that I'm genuinely convinced is in their best interests. So when a Christ follower loses the ability to remember the fact that they are part of the problem, that they are not outside of the problems and outside of the flaws of the human experience, then that constantly reminds them of the fact that they don't have a right to boast, that they don't have a right to negatively judge people, they don't have a right to be prejudiced, they don't have a right to be any kind of ism that you can think about, be it racist or sexist or ageist or whatever it is. To look down on people with less means than them, people who are poor, whatever it is, any kind of box, any kind of way of classing or judging or negatively boxing in a person based on their circumstances, their life station, the color of their skin, the kind of culture that they come from, the kind of land that they come from, how much wealth they have or not. That tendency to do that is something that is removed from you hopefully, or is reduced from you when you constantly remember the fact that you are as equally flawed as they are, regardless of the things that they've done. And that ability to remain in humble recognition and in memory of the fact that you're a sinner, that you're broken, that's a gift, because it allows you to remain humble. What ends up happening with many Christ followers, unfortunately, is that they forget that. And they allow their ability to make judgments about the flaws of others become more important than reminding themselves of just how flawed they are. And when a Christ follower starts to do that, they start to behave something like a Pharisee, where they become increasingly locked into religiosity than a proper relationship with Christ himself. Because that's the power of Christ. He keeps you humble, provided that you continue to remind yourself of what you are. And this is part of the difference in experience that people have when they go to a church that's characterized by people like this, that is led by people like this. Because that kind of church is a church experience which is far more authentic and far more grounded and far more humble, right? Where a person is able to walk into a church and realize the fact that even though these people have a particular belief system about the nature of the world, of value, of morality, the sources of human identity, what it means to be human, they have a point of view about this. But they also remember the fact that humans are just humans, humans are flawed, and we have to be humble to that fact. When people have that sort of church experience, it transforms them. They feel welcome, even though they may understand that the tenets and the foundational values of the things that these people believe might be different from mine, but they treat me fundamentally as a human, and they love me like how their God loves them. Because they remember what it was like to be outside of a relationship with their God. I may not believe it, I'm on my own journey about it, but I am treated with validation, with dignity, with love, regardless of what station of life that I'm at. And when people arrive to that sort of church setting, they arrive for that love, they arrive for that authenticity, they arrive for that relationship. And then, hopefully, they also stay because of Jesus, because they realize that the reason why these Christ followers treat me like this is because of the relationship they have with this Jesus person, right? And so it's very important for us as Christ followers to consistently remind ourselves and to remember to be humble to the fact that we are fallen. To never be surprised by our own sin, whether we're talking about it in our individual lives, but to also never be surprised at how messy we always often are when we are in a church setting. We're messy people. Churches are a messy place. Feelings get hurt, people get offended, mistakes are made. Hopefully those mistakes are not catastrophic. But to never be surprised when a bunch of humans never be surprised what tends to happen when a bunch of human beings gather together as part of a society. Be it a church or a community or a country, things are going to get messy. And that's fine, provided that we stay humble about the reasons why we are that flawed. So, this is just some thinking that I have this morning about the characteristics of the best Christ followers, and I pray that I would be that sort of a person. So yeah, thank you for watching. This is my YouTube channel. I speak about all things that have to do with mental health, and I'm drawing from my faith as a Christ follower, and then also from my love for films and other bits and pieces of popular culture. Thank you for watching. I'm going to carry on with the rest of my day, and feel free to carry on with yours, and I pray that you have a great day. Okay, bye-bye.